Welcome to the Hermitcraft recap. My name is Pixelriffs. Our writer is SloyXP. Captions on this video were provided by Liara. In this week's headlines, we have to acknowledge that the Hermitcraft server has a Frogger champion who isn't even part of the main cast. Jimmy Solidarity Gaming, longtime friend of the server and collaborator on recent charity events, popped on to take advantage of the complete lack of any Ravager Rush competition and claim the trophy for the latest season. Best of luck defending that title, Jim. In the meantime, BOO has been hard at work completing this season's Nether Hub, give or take a few small details, so look forward to everyone on the server finally allowing themselves to look directly at it in videos. And Tango Tech has embarked on another iteration of his infamous puzzle box, the Tangler, so at least we know what they'll be throwing Jimmy into next time he stops by for a visit. But with that out of the way, let's take a look at all the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week. Starting with Grian, who did not break Pearlescent Moon's redstone, at least not that I can tell.
I feel like I did find a secret. There's a lot of redstone under here. I'm gonna find out what this is all about, that's for sure. I'm gonna find out what this... Where's my horse?
To his credit, Grian has been becoming increasingly more proficient at building mechanisms, as long as these mechanisms provide zero use beyond decoration. Does that make him qualified to break into Pearl's ballroom backroom? It does, because he did. It just doesn't make him qualified enough to know what any of it does. Now, the more helpful underground he will be no-clipping into is his future storage basement. After all, he needs one now that his main cupboard shack is overflowing. The room below his base is not without its tricks, however, as landing directly in the center of it triggers a mechanism to send shockwaves across the floorboards to simulate a hero landing, which does look pretty satisfying, but not as much without the accompanying thud. Which is why Grian hunts down Pearlescent Moon to help him figure out exactly which mob head would make a note block thud the best.
I think that was cool.
That was cool.
It certainly isn't the chickens Pearl built a coop for, unless the eggs they're laying are really heavy. But having successfully produced enough eggs that she can share a full shulker of them with Rendog, Pearl sends him a full box of warm and cold chicken eggs in the mail, which is perhaps the most lawful good way of egging someone's house. While she's at the mailbox, Pearl finds a note from Joel Smallish Beans, formally burying the hatchet of their Purple prank exchange, but offering her advertising space if she's willing to put the effort into decorating one of his skyscraper billboards.
I'm guessing it's this big white square that we've got, which is facing pretty much nobody. Is there another one, or is it just that one? He doesn't lie, though. It does sound like fun.
Pearl considers the offer, but has more business with Joel's immediate neighbor in the cyberpunk city. A while back, she committed to building the Season 9 section of Metro Mayhem's final stretch, and she faithfully recreates her Badlands cave environment from Decked Out 2, complete with sound effects that will have the racers panicking that their Clank score just went up.
Hey, let's go! Let's go!
So now, okay, we're racing through. Oh my gosh.
To test the course and introduce the segment, Pearl challenges Impulse SV to a race, after which they review all the details, including an unintentional shortcut and a tribute to the late great tinfoil chef.
Wait, did I take off my Elytra? I cheated. I'm taking off my...
You cheated? Dude!
I had it on, but I didn't use it. Don't worry.
You're supposed to be cheating.
I took it off just now.
Slidey doors. It's gonna close in my face. I knew it. I knew it was gonna close in my face.
Yes.
And in case you thought the race might be a little one-sided, worry not. Pearl got to preview and playtest a section of the course Impulse added some obstacles to this week. The sewer tunnels were little more than a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reference before this, but now, after some minecart wrangling, they've become a mini Ravager Rush, but with a much more thematically appropriate mob to menace the racers.
Remember this?
No.
I've been working on the slime things.
No!
What have we done? What have we done?
What have you done, dude? Why there's so much time?
For balance, Impulse gives players the option to toggle beacon effects as they squeeze down the tunnel, giving them resistance and regen to tank their way through the slimes, or jump boost to simply leap over them. The most shocking twist, though, is that Impulse has also nerfed himself, attempting to unlearn years of muscle memory now he's decided to ditch playing with the mouse Y-axis inverted.
I've been playing other games, streaming other games and stuff, and not all of them have the ability to invert the mouse. So I've been struggling having to go back and forth, and look at me now. It's off. Yeah.
At the rate it is going, however, at least one room of Metro Mayhem will be inspired by the Saw franchise. Yes, this is because Tango Tech is involved, and if you doubt that he will somehow make his Season 7 tribute course into a Mind Games puzzle, please take a look at Exhibit A, the new Tangler he is building. The Tangler was a minigame, scratch that, Confusion Farm from all the way back in Season 4. We remember because the compilation of people playing it still haunts us.
Dang you, Tango, my brain can't take much more of this, man. You're killing me.
Essentially, it was a puzzle game until he built a second one, which was a co-op puzzle game, and now that Zedaf and him have played in sync, Tango is back for another go at trapping his friends until they solve his puzzles 3.
So if you don't want spoilers, now's the time to look away.
The key to the solution this time is line of sight. The creaking monsters from the Pale Garden update can be tricked into becoming a sightline detector. So the solution to the white corridor is staring at a wall exactly right while your friend finds an exit. Of course, only powdered snow could be used to hide the look holes and still function as look holes, so the whole place had to be snow-themed, meaning the entire time the players will know how last year's chicken nuggets feel at the back of my freezer.
I think when they do, though, it won't be that hard of a puzzle, I'm hoping. I want logic, I want communication, and, you figure it out and then just do it. That's the kind of stuff that I really want to go for.
Of course, there's easier ways to stare at hostile mobs, especially now that Good Times with Scar has completed the first exhibit of his monster zoo, the Zombie Apocalypse Pen. Well, at least he completed the buildings of the apocalyptic city block, which is no small feat. The zombies themselves, however, are taking a moment.
Come on, little creeper guy. Okay, that happened a little faster than I thought, but we got another head.
See, since the undead will spontaneously combust when under sunlight, it would help to equip them with something to wear over their heads. For example, their own heads. So Scar has to brave multiple thunderstorms to gather up zombie heads blown up with charged creepers. And that leads to him too getting blown up with charged creepers or otherwise.
The bow, but the heck? I was struck by lightning? Are you kidding me?
But of course we can't have the citizens wandering around on fire when the only fire truck in the area is stuck between two buildings. The last time we saw vehicle work this good, Keralis' base still belonged to him. But as XP Crafted is happy to explain, those days are over.
The thing is, I went on a resource gathering and mining expedition. Come back. My base is sold.
It's been like 2 months or time.
I was
man.
gathering bedrock.
Keralis' base is now owned by Rendog. Although they're happy to rent the resort back to him, negotiations soon turn into a plan to take the whole thing to court just so they have an excuse to sentence Doc M to more Skyblock jail.
Look at this boat and everything, it's so great.
It's not even your base, Ren. That's the thing.
I bought it fair and square, Keralis.
This is a robbery.
As XP Crafted and Keralis catch up, XP gets to coach him through the one-shot target game, and Keralis makes himself the target in the Trident PvP arena, which XP has taken pains to restock this week. Apparently the last bout led to several loyalty tridents despawning, which told XP two things. First, that the hermits need to be reminded to collect their gear after these chaotic battles, and second, that loyalty just isn't as effective as Riptide. XP isn't the only one taking an elevated approach to water this season. Joe Hills builds it an entire tower. In fact, Joe mentions that the water tower was almost his starter base, but since it's so far off the main Holmdel campus, it would have been a much longer walk to work. Plus, at this point, if he did use it as a base, chances are it would have been blown up weeks ago.
Here's a quick clip of... Well, that was going to be a quick clip of how I just died.
Joe detonates an unexploded permit office trap in a remote part of Holmdel, and later resolves to turn it into a war memorial for the whole Exile saga.
The permit office guys, who apparently did not exactly get rid of all of the traps, or remember where they all were.
Leave it to Joe to make lemons into lemonade, or to further prove our point, make a zombie villager into a villager. It's only a little ironic that he does this within a few blocks of a huge colony of librarians, but I'm sure the freshly cured leatherworker will fit right in. The less explosive echo of Exile is Sal the Salmonhead being pronounced King of Hermitcraft, a move that previously worked out great for Rendog.
Not King of the Castle, King of the Server. They don't know that yet, but you know what? Everything's gonna be fine.
Ijevin pronounces the fish royalty on account of pretty much them owning a castle, then visits his neighbour Wells Knight, who has had a castle since week 2 of the server. Sure, Jevin's whole reasoning for the trip is a server tour, just to catch up on the things that have changed in the time he was away from the server while still on the same server. Which, once again, is pretty funny because Wells Knight certainly hasn't built anything in the time Ijevin was in exile.
But, no. Very good castle layout. I can't wait to see what he does with this.
Honestly, we just bring this up because, ironically, the same week Wells actually does change a bunch of stuff in his castle that his fellow Castle-lites would probably appreciate. but really the time to visit the revised interiors will be in a couple of weeks, when Wells' own fan art gallery fills in and he can get a few copies for the royal hallways. Right now it's still in the submission stage, which is great for fan artists new and old, since Wells specifically calls out that previous art can be submitted no matter the make date. For now, he has to settle for his own decorations and rework a few rooms into their cozier state. Also, the lawn gets a facelift, which is a little backwards to say given that he rips out half the grass and replaces it with coarse dirt. Stay vigilant and you can find a coffee table somewhere behind those flower bushes.
Because the coarse dirt is more supposed to represent like mulch, essentially? Yeah, that's looking pretty good.
Zombie Cleo's own attentiveness finds them Jevin in the woods, which I hear is worth 2 in the bush. This, of course, is another one in the series of Cleo explaining the armor stand mod to their server mates, which is far from their own shenanigans where they seamlessly integrate trapdoors where they don't belong with entity magic, just to get an even baseboard for the new home.
It's wood and walls, and I've got to fill up this place.
So yes, Cleo built a new house for their riverside village, in the shady spot by the bridge that felt awfully empty lately. But these are the appearances you have to keep up when you're the holder of the 5,000 diamond earned cup, no matter the Doc M allegations.
And it's all mine, and I got it completely legitimately.
We at the recap allege that Doc M seems to be up to something, especially since he hints about this several times while completing his custom cave, insisting it's been constructed in a remote location and will not have a nether portal entrance. At least not yet, although among the fantastical fog effects, giant chains, custom amethyst geodes and leviathan skeletons, there is a gothic archway that would suit a portal down to the ground. Or to the nether, I guess, that's where portals usually go.
Man, this was way too much work with all the glass down here, but it sure is worth it.
This whole environment has been constructed so that Doc has himself a throne room, but what exactly he's ruling over remains to be seen. We don't think it'll be a Permit Office Mark II unless he's got a very different aesthetic in mind, the literal hellscape over the corporate hellscape.
Always this fine line to walk on. You want to have this mood, you want to have this atmosphere, but it also somewhat needs to look decent in the Minecraft video, in the videos. It's all about atmosphere. Oh no, we can't go through here. I can't give away where this place is. Whew, almost made a mistake.
But considering his grumbles about how nobody can now be pressured into restocking amethyst he can build with, maybe it's time to keep an eye on this one. Apropos of nothing, CubFan135 still has a base covered in amethyst outcroppings. The land of minerals of Skulk won't be growing anytime soon though, thanks to the now complete retaining wall. Also, it shoots fireworks when you run on it. That's just a for fun feature, I suppose.
Rest in peace. That is my bad. That is my bad.
And to make sure that his custom terrain won't have to go over the riverbed, Cub fills in the bridge separating his ink farm from the rest of the server. But just to ensure he won't have to walk too much next time he forgets his elytra, he preserves boat access via the medium of piston doors. The aqua lock even fills in the water so you don't have to unboard the vessel, and if you know where to shoot the hill leading up out of the harbour, you can go all the way to his base without leaving the boat.
Whenever we need to come back down, we just come down here, we hop in the boat, the floor drops out from under the boat, we do a little 180, and we are on our way.
And finally there's BOO, who, instead of time-lapsing his Nether Hub builds, just fades them in, leaving us to wonder if they were there the whole time.
Yeah, this is cool. They do look like little tombstones or monuments or something like that.
The frames and arches are virtually identical on all 4 sides though, so in answer to concerns about how difficult navigation will be, he adds some colourful trails of glass and candles, like an Aurora Borealis that conveniently tells you which way the gaming district is.
So pink for Cherry Hill Mountain? Is this gaming district? Let's find out.
The ground level experience is just as magical, now firefly bushes are a thing, and you can sparkle as you travel the paths between locations. So before it is inevitably vandalized by people leaving mob transport rail networks all over the place, B-Dubs takes one last look at his creation and returns to the overworld, perhaps permanently. He's just not really a nether guy. There's not enough horses.
I think we're also going to lock in, here it is, and focus on working on our cyberpunk city just past the forest there.
And that's about it for this week's recap. Our writer is LoyXP, and my name is Pixel Riffs. Captions on this video were provided by Liara. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here, and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.